Well, welcome everyone to this week's edition of Wednesdays with Walt. And we're going to be talking about your own personal brand because I suspect that you recognize the importance of a brand when it comes to a company. But how much time do you spend thinking about your own personal brand? And whether you realize it or not, you are just that, your own unique, individual, personal brand. Now think about it like this. Originally, the world only knew Walt Disney by name. He built the company name up using characters like Mickey Mouse, Snow White, Pinocchio, and Dumbo, and it was their press and their popularity that dwarfed Walt's. He might have been a household name, but few would have recognized Walt Disney if they had actually passed him on the street. And then came Disneyland. And not just Disneyland the theme park, but Walt Disney's Disneyland the television show. It premiered on October 27th, 1954, and the Wednesday night program didn't just make the theme park possible, but it also showcased Walt's charisma and storytelling to a national audience. And so quickly, loyal viewers began looking forward to Walt's weekly visits as he guided them through his new park and provided personal insights into the world of entertainment and into the world of animation. Soon enough, Walt Disney became a trusted authority. Soon enough, Walt Disney became a personal brand. How? Well, he did it by using the camera to connect with each viewer individually. Now here's the kicker. Ironically, Walt never wanted to be in front of the camera. In fact, he hesitated on hosting his own television show, so much so that the studio waited until the last minute on deciding who was actually going to host that premiere television show. They went back and forth, even considering having a character host the show. And Walt's main concern was knowing that, well, he wasn't really an actor and that his Midwestern twang would hold back the narration. But then ultimately, Walt came to realize that Disneyland was his dream. And so he reluctantly relented because he realized that if Disneyland was his dream, then he was the best person to sell the show, to carry the show, because he was ultimately the best person to carry the dream. And he also believed that soon enough the studio would find someone better and that ultimately he would be replaced. Well, they never did, and Walt Disney never was. Well, my point in this week's Wednesdays with Walt is that the same is true for you. Especially as each of us competes in the world today of 2023, a world filled with technology, which we talked about earlier, a world with the internet and influencers, a world with social media marketing. And if you want to stand out, if you want to differentiate yourself, if you want to make a difference in today's world, the best way to do it is to do what Walt did, and that is to build up your own personal brand. Because again, who is best at telling your story? Who is best at selling your dream than you? And yes, like Walt Disney, this is going to mean you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone. Remember how last week I talked about starting a YouTube channel? Well, I've always felt comfortable in the classroom. I've always been somewhat of a natural on stage. But to be 100% honest with you, every time I hit record on the camera, for whatever reason, every time I hit record on the camera, I just freeze. And so I feel a little bit like Walt Disney in this regard because, again, Walt never wanted to be in front of the camera. He hesitated on hosting that original Disneyland television program. In fact, he once complained about the quote-unquote glum eye of the camera. And I'm going to tell you, Walt wasn't wrong. But I started the channel anyway, and my goal is 1,000 YouTube subscribers by July 17th of this year. And you know why July 17th is a significant date. Why am I doing this? Because I'm investing in my brand. I'm even taking a course, Crush It on Camera. And the very first lesson in that course is to look directly into the lens. Yes, the glum eye of the camera. Look directly into the lens as a way of connecting with each of you, my subscribers, my viewers, my followers, and my fans. And so again, none of this is easy, but in order to move yourself forward, in order to move your story forward, we have to do what Walt was willing to do to sell Disneyland. Get out of our own comfort zone. And so here's my challenge for you this week. Do something, anything, that is going to build both you and your individual brand. If you're not a natural networker, then meet up with someone, even if it's just for a cup of coffee. And again, I understand you might not be a natural networker, but guess what? Do it anyway. If you have trouble standing out, do something a little bit different. Do something that's going to attract a little bit of attention because, again, it's outside of your comfort zone. Ask yourself, what can you be doing in the next 7 days to build yourself up, to build your brand up, to push your dream and your story forward? Now, we close with this. In the opening broadcast of, again, the original Disneyland television program, premiering October 27th, 1954, in the original broadcast, Walt Disney declared that Disneyland the place and Disneyland the television show, they were all part of the same. Well, guess what? When it comes to you and your personal brand, they too are all the same. So thank you. Thanks for tuning in.